Good afternoon, everyone. Basically, there is no audience in the class. This is again monthly affair which we are carrying forward. So recently, you know that the mains got over. So what is your takeaway from mains? Just two people are there. You can answer something. So my takeaway from this year mains examination is that first of all, those who are doing this regular core batch answer writing, they were always in no what safe hands. So what you are doing is actually correct, going by the trend which we have seen in the mains. The kind of essay topics they have been giving you, right? Most of you are already comfortable writing philosophical type of essays, right? So that trend, I used to tell people like, try to do more practice of these kind of essays because uh, the UPSC somehow will gradually increase this to 8 topics. So earlier we were saying 4, then 5, 6. Last year it was 6. So suddenly this year 8 philosophical topics. So that is one thing, and for you, added advantage is that we were forcing you to write them in 2.5 hours, right? So some of the people whom I spoke to, those who wrote mains this year, they were telling they were finding it difficult to organize their thoughts. So first of all, understanding the topic itself was difficult, and then organizing thoughts, putting them in 3 hours is a very difficult task. So you are now trained to do it in 2.5 hours. Though I'm sure because many of you are not able to write second essay properly. So everyone was scoring less marks in second essay only. So gradually you have improved that also. In 3 hours, you are comfortably able to write 2 proper essays. So that is one advantage you have. Secondly, the ethics tests, which we have like frequent number of ethic tests. The mains ethic test was nothing but kind of leaked paper again. The past 8 years, if you see the question papers, section A more or less, except the quote-based questions, almost same questions are repeated in some other form. And within section A, there are like 2 to 3 questions which are similar in nature. So for that, what you are doing is again correct. More of answer writing practice rather than trying to go after more of content, right? Because like essay, ethics requires you to think and come up with more dimensions within 150 words. Section A. Again, section B, conventional case studies were there. That anyway, I think you are already practicing. But now, if you want more practice, there are two sources. One, again, past 8-year question papers, compulsorily answer them. So January, February is the right time to do it. Right after prelims, you may do that because you'll be busy with the test series again. So right now, if you can answer as many questions as possible, that is number one source. Second one is our 70 days ethics plan. Okay, there are so many questions which we posted in 70 days for people who are writing mains this year. So try to write answers to most of the questions, right? Especially quote-based questions and case studies in the month of January, February. So because anyway, I think by mid-February we will resume, and anyway this mentoring is going on. I am coming every day, so you can come up with your 6 answers essay anyway you're bringing. So these two must be done right now, right? And optional, fortunately, this year they have not gone for too much difficult papers. That is what I have heard. Most of the papers were predictable, like 70-80%. Very few questions were off the mark, out of the world kind of questions. Most of it was predictable. So then again, optional, the challenge is always writing that full length paper in 3 hours with quality answers. People prepare notes, they read, they revise multiple times. And I think previous class also I suggested you something. January, February, if you can write at least 8 to 10 full length optional papers, right? 8 to 10 full length optional papers. So the source can be any test series or again previous year papers if you haven't done that, to do that. This 1000 marks will seal the deal when you write mains. 500 marks in optional, 250 in essay and 250 in ethics. If you are very much comfortable in these 4 papers, they are the game changers, right? Especially essay paper is the game changer. So those who are taking feedback, those who are writing regularly, I'm seeing so much improvement, especially, right? If you take feedback, you will see improvement. So you may be writing on your own, as you said, like, key marks were increasing and again they are coming down. So it depends on evaluator to evaluator, but broadly it also depends on certain mistakes you are making unknowingly, right? So those mistakes must be, you must know which mistakes you are making. That can happen only when you go to me or a mentor which you have, right? So that, don't compromise on this. Okay, you can leave other mains related stuff, but these three, don't compromise them, because GS 1 2 3 is a continuous journey. You'll keep doing it again and again. So you are too much into reading about it. And another good thing that has happened this year, which is again not a guarantee that it will get repeated this mains, that there is emphasis on static part in mains, paper 1 and paper 3, right? Indirectly in paper 2 also. So whatever you are studying as part of economy, polity, geography, environment, right, even art and culture, modern history as part of prelim test series, if you can orient towards that, you are already doing. So orient yourself, towards mains also. What you are studying from the prelims viewpoint, do it from mains viewpoint, which you are already doing. If you do it more meaningfully, right, by having notes for almost every topic, ready-made notes, especially for the static part. I'm not asking you to make new notes right now. Take notes wherever it is. So read it for prelims such a way that you are reading it for mains also. So don't just familiarize yourself with the things. So try to retain them, the facts, especially the concepts, right? So try to retain them. And last time I told you to do like 50, 60 questions MCQs. Right? How many I asked you to do today? 50 questions. So this year, from now onwards, try to do 100 every day. Right? Do it, because there is no shortcut now. Prelims, I have this faith in these people, you people, like those who write so many answers, so many tests. To clear prelims, mains is going to be really very easy for you. Right? Right. So these next 5 months, January, February, March, 4.5 months now. Okay. These next 4.5 months, so try to do minimum 12 to 15,000 MCQ. Okay, for paper 1. No, I mean it. You have to do it. 12 to 15,000 MCQs. Then CSAT. Especially many people are meeting again those who have written mains and those who didn't clear last time. I'm asking them to solve at least 30 CSAT questions every day. 2 to 3 full-length papers every week. CSAT, you cannot take it for granted, that right? So these are the things which I've been telling you. This monthly session is an opportunity where again I reiterate, tell you to do these things again, because you might have a little bit deviated or demotivated. That happens naturally to everyone. So even when you are successful, it happens. Even when you are not successful, it happens. Somehow, how you have to learn to deal with these things is, you have to bounce back, be very fast, in adapting to the situation, right? Expect these things to happen, whatever it is happening with you. Like for instance, this third wave, some may be sick, and you are unsettled again. The things were going smooth. So be adaptable, in the sense you may have to give online, but you adapt to that situation right now. But don't let the overall preparation get compromised in any way. And also don't let the dream that you keep dreaming about, so don't get it compromised. That should be there. That visualization, that bigger dream of cracking this exam in this attempt should always be alive, and thriving also should be there, irrespective of where your preparation is going. This is very important. If there is no strong pull factor, there is difference between outcome and there is dream. I'm not talking about a rank. I'm not talking about cracking prelims or cracking this examination. I'm talking about having a big dream, right? So that dream is something you are going after, right? So that happens or not, I don't know. I don't know about the outcome, but let me focus on the process, right? So like hope, right? You should have hope. You will reach that stage in your life, right? That phase in your life maybe this year or next year you will definitely reach it. So that should be there. So keep it very much alive, burning. That is extremely important, because so without that, what happens? The smallest problems become your biggest problems on day-to-day basis. Can you get it? Can you relate to this? Right. So you don't get food that day, like it becomes a bigger problem. Right. So somebody says something, it becomes a bigger problem. So you have to make these things very insignificant, what you are facing on day-to-day basis. They shouldn't affect overall, your mentality, your dream, whatever it is, should be there. So continue your preparation, continue to write your tests. Don't give yourself any excuses, no justifications, right? So you make a mistake, right? Make a mistake. Let's say you don't give the test, and then you find an excuse, right? Justification. But either you will give like two kind of justification. You will say in future you will do it, right? Or you will say it's okay not to do this right now because I'll focus on something else, maybe optional or something, right? Huh? Another justification. Anyway, I was not prepared properly, so I will not do this, right? So the justifications can be just before you want to give a test, you want to do certain thing, or it can be post that point of time, where you don't do it, right? So not doing and then justifying. When you have an opportunity to do it, before that you justify and stop yourself from doing it. So don't do these two things, right? So if there is a timetable, if somebody has told you, somebody has given you a slot to do this, you do it perfectly or imperfectly, don't worry. You do it. There is always that incremental progress. Okay, by doing something, you're actually better than who you were, before that point of time. Am I right? Right. It happens. Very easy to say this, but if you can do this consistently, then I think nobody can stop you, right? So you have to keep doing this. So that is one thing. And prelims, don't be scared about prelims. As the days, what do you say? The days get vanished, right, into the oblivion of time, whatever it is, right? The days get decreased. You start getting bit tensed, so which is again very natural, but that should double your efforts. That should make you double your efforts rather than think and worry, think and become anxious about the thing. So what people usually do is that because they are scared about prelims, they don't do much of it. They do much of something else. It is some kind of psychology, I don't know. What people do, they don't solve maximum number of MCQ. Some people, because they are scared. Instead, they try to focus more on optional, more on answer writing, more on some people. I don't know if more number of people do this. Some people are like that, right? So that fear prevents you from touching that thing, right? You are afraid of CSAT, you don't solve so many CSAT papers. You know that you have that fear. That's what. So don't do that. You have to conquer your fears in the very beginning. So what you are scared about the most, right? So try to do it in the very beginning. So CSAT, if you are scared, that's why I suggested you to do 2 to 3 full length mocks. Not a random suggestion, right? So one thing I have learned personally is, if you're scared of something, you have to face it, right? I mean, you have to head on, you have to face it, whatever it is. You may fail again, you may kind of get affected by it, but in the long term, you become very strong, right? So those things won't haunt you anymore. You have to face them. So start doing more of it. Like if GS paper 1 in prelims, that is your weak area, do more number of full length papers. Don't give excuses that you are telling me to do 100 questions every day, or will I analyze all these 100 questions? You are smart enough to know that you don't have to analyze all 100 questions, right? So do those, where you are getting them wrong, or something which is completely new out of these 100 questions. Only read them. Others you skip them. but you have tested yourself if you are going to get some of them right or wrong, right? So that aspect where, you know, unexpectedly you are solving some questions, uncertain, unknown questions, but some of them you are getting them right in the beginning stage. The more of you do this, more questions you start getting right. This happens. So this is the best way to learn in this phase, January onwards, reverse engineering, right? Questions to concepts approach. Rather than till December, it is fine. Now you read all your concepts first and then go for questions. So now you don't have time for doing that kind of stuff. Reading books, you have to read, but reverse engineering. As I said, out of 100 questions, you see that 10, 20 questions you don't know anything, right? So then you read them from standard textbook. Let it take more time. Let it take 1 day, 2 days, but you involve yourself in that. And whenever you read anything, never ignore basics. So this tendency happens, when you start doing more of answer writing. More of answer writing, more you become more analytical in your thinking. You start ignoring the very basic facts and concepts, right? So never do that. We can maintain that balance of always reading the very basic NCERTs, going after concepts again and again, strengthening them. At the same time, when you are applying them in your answers, doing that writing practice regularly, and even in your answers also bring that touch of giving importance to basics. So if you come to essay evaluation with me, most of the times, if you remember, I tell you to do one thing. After introduction, define the basic words that are there in the topic, right? If the topic is the self-discovery is outsourced to technology, right? So I ask you to define what is self-discovery. Not only define, discuss also. Define and discuss. You define self-discovery. You also define technology, and you also discuss what is self-discovery. At least one and a half page, right? So you must be very clear about the very keyword of the essay topic, right? Similar with all MCQs and all other mains questions. Every question will come with one or two key concepts or keywords. Every question, whether it is silly question, whether it is factual question, whatever it is, every question will have that element. So if your preparation has taken care of that dimension, so this exam is very easy to crack, right? You just use, see, in our day-to-day conversation, when you are reading something, when things become relatable, right? What they are saying always, makes it very clear conceptually. You like those kind of talks or those kind of lectures or those kind of readings, right? If somebody is only using jargon, difficult word and implying, leaving it to your imagination, you find it difficult to understand, difficult to sail through that kind of thing, right? Similar with examination. Don't take it, don't have this wrong notion that because the questions are open-ended, sound like very intellectually, we have to write like that. So 1/3 of the part always reserved to in the basics, right? Make it a habit, whether it is ethics, GS papers, any question after the introduction, like 2 paragraph or 2 to 3 point, explain the keywords. Make it a habit. So you will not be given less marks for that. It actually helps evaluator. We actually respect those kind of people whose basics are very strong, right? And I think you also like those kind of teachers, right? Whose basics are strong. Whenever somebody is teaching you like geography, polity, or what, right? So don't ignore that. Another big mistake you shouldn't make is going after current affairs, right? Too much of it. So first static, the static part, and the mains part which you are doing. If these things are good, 50-60 questions you can easily get right in prelims, right? What people do, because there is so much focus on current affairs on websites, because toppers talk about them, people try to read multiple compilations, multiple sources for current affairs, and they spend so much time reading current affairs. It should be there, just understand to the extent of where you can write 150 words, 200 words. Again, not for every issue you need to read about, only important issues. You just go through the mains paper. There is always thing, they touch only those areas. There is always a question on Gandhi, there is always a question on women, there is a question on poverty, health, education, right? So they don't, there is a theme, right? And there is a specific demand by this examination. So if you can limit to them and understand their basics and their application very well, you can actually sail through this examination. So if you ask me in a day, 10% time you give for current affairs, rest of the time you give for what is there in the syllabus, right? Through textbooks, through your notes, or of solving question, answer writing. So far, how many tests you have given? So there is GS1 full length test you have completed. Ethics and SF full length has been completed. Hmm? How many tests you have written so far? 28 tests. Essay how many? Okay. So the moment we announced these online tests, many of you have dropped. Most of them. So ma'am says that nearly 50% of them are not writing the tests. Right. Either you might have shifted to prelims, focus on prelims, or right, maybe you don't have internet, or you maybe the ink in your pen might be free, right, blank. You don't have access to papers. With uploading, what is the issue with uploading? They have to just take a okay. So just ask them to submit here if they're in Bangalore. Right. From next test onwards, you write at your home and then submit it here. Fine. So that you would have given that option earlier. Maybe you can do it. You have written old test, ask them to submit, get them evaluated. Fine. Right. So, but never miss writing this test. See, if at all this was an issue with many people, you just come and fight with us. No? Right. Okay, it's not like we are like not doing it or something. You just come and that is what success is about, right? I mean, going and asking for those things where where people say no to you, convince them to say yes, right? Okay. As an administrator, you are going to do the same thing, right? And as an administrator, you are going to experience the same thing. People will come and fight, right? So I am the beneficiary, give me this and that. If you're not doing this now, then yeah, people are writing scanning is a problem. So just ask them to submit it. They are in Bangalore. So anything else? Only 2 people or 3 people are there now. What to ask? Online people, if you have any doubts, you can just message. So I hope everyone's health is good. Good, fine. So this is like normal flu, right, doctor? No, should not say like it. Consider it as a normal. But there are very less hospitalizations, right? Compared to pre. Acha, acha. The testing is less. We manage what we measure. Be thankful to core batch. You are able to see that is the smartness, linking with something. And I've seen people, linking previous essay topics in some other sporting, giving them as sports in some other next essay. So people do that. See, they all revolve around topics like knowledge, success, mindfulness, self-discovery, what kindness, love, reality, morality. On all these words, if you have unique content, right? I think I have given this suggestion to people who come for evaluation. Say, for example, I was telling people the same words. The entire essay themes will be revolving around these keywords. So there is a word reality, for example. And reality, you make a notes of 2 pages. What notes? So what Shankaracharya has said about reality, the philosophical way, right? So Western Indian philosophers, so their notion of reality, right? and then 5 to 6 quotes on the reality. They can be philosophical, they can be political, they can be, from economic perspective, somebody has written. So pick up 5 contrasting individuals, get quote on them. And then there may be 5 books written on reality. From perspective of philosophy, again, from perspective of technology right now, there are so many realities, right? Virtual reality, what reality? Augmented reality. Somebody said another reality. New reality has come, right? So the realities, and that some people might have written books, so they will give you a new perspective. You read the summary of those books, mention the author, understand the crux of the read the crux of the book, what it is trying to convey in these books. So like that, these value additions, right? So there may be a moral story and something about reality or whatever it is, its relationship with truth. And the another extra dimension is the relationship of this concept with other concepts. Now the reality, don't see it in an isolated way. See reality, it's relationship with truth. Reality, it's relationship with other these abstract values, right? And then there may be people who have written about them also, some ideas. 2 pages you write like some 20 sentences like this, right? You can write a very brilliant essay, right? Got it? So for every word, like kindness, love, success, morality, self-discovery, mindfulness. So these, the same thing will repeat. Next year, you remember this thing, right? The quote will have different meaning, but the words will be same. But if you can get understanding of these things, have that in-depth, like these are basically different perspectives. If you have them, you can create different dimensions in your essay. So printed booklets we are giving, those who are coming to office we are giving, whether it is prelim test or even mains also we are giving. So that we have done that. Okay. So I would have allowed you people to come and write here also. It is just that I don't want some BBMP people come here and fine us, right? Is a thing. But maybe if the cases start decreasing, you can come to classroom and write the test. So that's it, I think. Okay. That's it. Extend. Can you please explain how to relate it with other values? So explain, I don't know. Like for example, I was saying reality and truth, right? So how do you relate it with truth? For example, truth and love. For example, is love real? A very philosophical question, right? So there is interstellar movie, and there in philosophy, in science, people say that love is another dimension, like gravitation wave. Just like you have dual nature of matter, and then there is gravitational wave. Gravitation can be felt. That's what, right? Recently they discovered. So love is another dimension, right? So the reality of love, we want to analyze only at emotional level. That love as an emotion that you express to your kids, your parent, loved one, and other people, or to even complete stranger, or does it have a scientific reality, right? So that is how you try to link it with, right? When you are writing some, it depends on the topic basically, but you can, when you are talking about reality, you don't have to talk about reality in the sense of this laptop, this camera, this desk. What we see is not just real, even what we don't see might be real. Like how do you know that it is real? There may be a scientific theory principle behind. Similarly, like truth, right? Is truth real? Just ask a question, right? So there was a set topic for you, the truth versus facts. So what was the topic that they evaluated few, right? So again, that relationship, like how do you say that truth is real? Like how do you say this is the truth? Hmm? Now, how do you say that truth is more than fact? How do you say that the fact is real? Hmm. Okay, maybe. So there is another way, these universal values. Somebody, I think Plato, Socrates, somebody who said that they actually exist as a real entities, right? So they are not just like notions; they are just perceptions. No, they also act as entities, even the moral values or something. So that is what I meant by relating with other concepts. So again, the reality can be linked it with, uh, uh, let's say like artificial intelligence, right? The upcoming whatever technologies, there is this, it is blurring, the difference between what is real and what is unreal is blurring. You're getting that? What is unreal is becoming more real. Got it? So relationship in that manner. So these will create like new dimensions when you write something. Otherwise, you will think linearly, acha reality, something like self-discovery. What was the topic? The reality-related topic was the message topic is there. So that is what I meant. Somebody has written metaverse. I think metaverse is another dimension of reality. Hmm. Can we break subheadings in essays? So, can we break subheadings? Mean like if you want, you can write subheadings, but I like essays without subheadings personally. I like essays without, personally, I like without subheadings because I don't like something to affect flow of reading, right? So if you start something, you should take me to the end of it without any, roadblocks, humps, whatever it is, potholes, nothing. So you start your journey, you end it very smoothly, right? So some people, that is why I don't like creating, compartments, right? Breaking them into these levels and uh, the special approach, political, economic, it becomes very predictable. And in essay, I should not know which stop I'm getting into next, right? So you say political here, I know that the next stop is Kengeri, next stop is Vidadi, next stop is Ramnagara, right? So I know that the economy, polity, ethical angle, legal angle, tech angle, environment angle. So you invent new angle also. So that will be there. So don't make it predictable. So these are the things. And I am sure people who took feedback for essay during this main test series and have written will definitely get very good marks. Especially they were who are taking individual guidance. They're happy with their performance. Right. Makes your essay more individualistic. Some of the feedback. Ultimately, is you who will discover how to write in your own way of writing. The feedback helps you to align your thinking with respect to non-herd mentality, right? Not herd mentality. So that is one thing. So without subheading, how do we transition into other dimensions? See, I told you that it is my way of reading things. I don't even read subheading when I'm reading something. So you can write. I'm not telling you not to write subheading. You can write subheading as long as the two parts where you are bringing the subheading are organically interlinked. Let us say that you have discussed some dimension related to economic angle, right? At the end of that economic angle, you have very in a very organic way you have discussed economic polity angle. The political economy is there, that concept. So some related political aspect, but which has economic touch also discussed, right? Which is again related to the economic angle that you have discussed. Now, the next paragraph, without uttering the word political level or political angle, it gets into discussion of something related to polity, derived from the previous discussion of political economy, right? Now, in between, you write subheading, right, which doesn't affect the flow. Right? You don't write political angle, you don't write political something. You write what you are going to convey in the next paragraph or in the next paragraphs. In the political section, you have a clear idea that you want to convey something, right? So write that idea as a phrase, right? So then automatically, because the in previous angle, you are ending with political thing. Again, don't make it artificial. Now we'll move into political aspect or something. The end of the previous paragraph. By the nature of discussion, it is evident that You will be moving to transitioning to political angle. So in between, if you write an interesting subheading, it will be self-evident. So that should be meaningful, a phrase. You read, any standard newspaper, they will never use only one word subheading, right? It will have its own meaning. So I tell that it is like mini essay topic. So for example, self discovery is outsourced to technology. Can be a subheading in one of the essays. Got it? One of the essay topics can be subheading in another essay. So in a technology and its evils, if that is the topic, you use this as a subheading. Even the process of self-discovery is outsourced to technology. So any possibility for online students to have a mentorship session with you for essay? So how to do that? You can have that, like, don't know how. I used to promise people, like, to be honest, that you send your essay on WhatsApp and then I will evaluate. That doesn't happen actually, right? So maybe what we can do, if the madam can organize only a one-on-one essay session or something, maybe we can do. Maybe next week on the organize Madi. So madam, right? Maybe like Zoom like session or something. Okay, all the best. All the best to online students.